The lens focused, adjusted, then locked onto Ryder Quinn's wind-chapped face. A blur of pine needles framed his wild green eyes as he gave the camera a grin that straddled the line between confidence and chaos. "Vlog number 87, he whispered, tapping the lens twice. "Back in Sasquatch country. It's 4:43 a.m., I haven't slept, and something howled out here about 20 minutes ago that made my spine try to crawl out my back." He angled the camera to the sky. Clouds drifted past the thin silver moon, their edges torn like parchment. The forest around him breathed in damp silence, no crickets, no owls, just the occasional drip of dew from branch to moss. "This spot," he said, lowering his voice, "is 20 miles past any marked trail. No campers, no drones, no tourists with peanut butter traps." A smirk. "Just me, and maybe Bigfoot, and whatever the hell else screamed like it was chewing on a car battery." He panned the lens toward the dirt beside him. 2 footprints, massive and sunken deep into wet soil, came into view. Ryder dropped to a crouch, brushing pine needles away from the edges. 18 inches long. 5 toes. Mid-tarsal break. "Standard Sasquatch lore stuff," he murmured. "But what's this?" He zoomed in on a smaller impression beside the prints, oval, symmetrical, with fine lines radiating from a central point. "Not animal. Not human." Ryder tilted his head. "Looks engineered." A branch cracked in the distance. Ryder froze. His breath caught, shallow and quiet. The camera, still rolling, picked up a faint humming, like power lines in the wind. He stood slowly, drawing the handheld infrared scope from his belt. The screen lit up with a soft red glow. He swept left, nothing. Right, movement. A tall, heat-emitting mass shifted behind a cluster of trees. Too tall for a man. Too upright for a bear. Ryder whispered, "Oh no. No way. I'm not alone." He backed toward his gear, tripod, sleeping bag, food bag slung up a tree, and quietly powered on the drone. It whirred to life in his palm, a compact quadcopter with night vision and thermal sensors. He sent it buzzing upward. The drone's feed appeared on his wrist monitor. For the first few minutes, all it saw were the pale crowns of pines and mist curling above the canopy. Then, abruptly, it glitched, just a flicker, but it was enough. A shape. Brief. Tall. Motionless. Watching. Then gone. He exhaled hard. That's not a bear. That's not a damn moose. And if it's a guy in a ghillie suit, he's about to get a GPS tracker shoved into his sock. As Ryder stepped forward, the ground beneath him vibrated, just slightly. He stopped. So did everything else. No wind. No creaking trees. Just stillness and that quiet electric hum, now closer. He whispered into the camera, "Okay guys. I'm either about to be eaten by a bear, or I just found Bigfoot. And he's not alone." The feed crackled. His compass spun once, twice, and stopped pointing due north. He tapped it. Nothing changed. Ryder grabbed his tripod and flashlight, stuffing the camera into its mount. "We're going deeper." The next 20 minutes were a blur of slow, careful steps through underbrush, broken only by Ryder's occasional muttering and camera updates. He was sweating despite the cold. Then he found it. A clearing. Not natural. The ground was flattened in a perfect circle, ringed with shallow burns and symmetrical rocks that didn't match the region's geology. In the center stood a jagged tear in the earth, black and pulsing faintly. Hovering above it, was a figure. At first glance, Ryder thought it was a trick of light. But as his eyes adjusted, he saw it had form, humanoid, but wrong. Its proportions stretched and narrowed like it was drawn in tension. It shimmered with a faint blue haze, like heat rising off metal. Next to it, stooped low, was something larger. Covered in thick fur. Broad-shouldered. Breathing heavy. Ryder's throat tightened. Bigfoot. He raised his camera slowly. No sudden moves. The alien turned. Its head tilted as though curious, not alarmed. Blue light flickered across its face, no mouth, just narrow slits and glowing sockets. Then, for a single second, the Sasquatch looked directly at Ryder. Its eyes were not wild. They were not beastly. They were knowing. Then the world screamed. A pulse of sound, high-pitched and piercing, erupted from the center of the clearing, forcing Ryder to his knees. His equipment sparked. The drone plummeted from the sky. His camera glitched wildly, colors smearing across the screen. He crawled backward through the underbrush, heart pounding, mouth open but silent. When the sound stopped, so did everything. The clearing was empty. The tear in the earth had closed. Only the scorch marks remained. And one footprint. Deep. Heavy. In the mud. Alone. Ryder picked up his camera, miraculously still recording, and whispered, hoarse and shaking. I have no idea what I just saw. He turned the lens toward his face. But I think we've been looking in the wrong direction. This isn't just about Bigfoot anymore. He paused. They're watching us. And he's not hiding from us, he's hiding from them. Static hissed from the mic as Ryder slowly stood, camera still running. He glanced at the trees, suddenly suspicious of every shadow. Then he tapped the lens once, and whispered, almost a warning. End vlog. Dawn never really came. The forest remained gray, cloaked in a stale, unnatural haze. Ryder Quinn sat with his back against a fir tree, camera beside him, eyes fixed on the crushed clearing where the blue light had erupted just hours earlier. His ears still rang from the sound that had cracked the air like pressure collapsing inward. He hadn't slept. Couldn't. Something in his nervous system refused to let go. He'd replayed the footage 5 times. The video showed nothing coherent, static, flickers of blue, a warped frame of what might have been a foot or hand. But it was real. His memory screamed it was. Ryder whispered to himself, this isn't a costume. This isn't a prank. That was contact. He packed up his gear with precise, mechanical movements. Camera. Thermal scope. Backup power. Then paused. His drone. Crashed. Still somewhere out there. Of course. He scanned the treetops and followed the general fall trajectory, working his way through thickets. After 15 minutes, he found it, battered but mostly intact. One rotor was bent, but the onboard card still blinked green. As Ryder reached down to retrieve it, the light changed. No sound. No wind. But everything dimmed, just slightly. He froze. Behind him, a presence. Not steps. No cracking of twigs. Just there. He turned slowly. It stood 8 feet tall. Thin, elongated. Its limbs moved with unnatural smoothness, bending slightly the wrong way. A black suit, or maybe skin, glossy and veined with glowing seams. Its face had no clear features, just 2 dim, sunken lights where eyes should have been. Ryder's breath hitched. The figure raised a slender arm. A pulse of energy lanced out and struck Ryder in the chest, not painful, but instantly paralyzing. He collapsed, conscious but stiff, blinking wildly. The creature moved closer. Its hand hovered above Ryder's face, scanning. A soft hum began to build around them. Ryder's vision blurred, then sharpened. He wasn't just seeing the figure now. He was inside something else. Images flashed in his head. Brief. Alien worlds. Other forests. Other species, tagged, cataloged, classified. Preserved. Then, Earth. A globe wrapped in data overlays. A red warning icon. Status, observation phase, probable preservation failure. The presence withdrew. Ryder gasped hard, motion returning to his limbs. He rolled over and vomited into the moss. What are you? He rasped. The being didn't answer with words, but Ryder's mind caught something, Unit 17. Bioscout class. Field evaluation model. He looked up, shaking. You're not just watching us. You're deciding. This time, the response wasn't just data. It spoke. The voice was disembodied, neutral, neither male nor female, yet layered with slight static distortion. Human subject exhibits neural interference. Primitive augmentation. Explain. It gestured toward his neck. Ryder instinctively touched the scar just under his jaw, his old implant, placed after a combat injury years ago. A micronerve stimulator to suppress PTSD symptoms. Doctors had said it was obsolete now. Wasn't meant to meet aliens, Ryder muttered. You scan me. What now? Subject disrupts evaluation loop. Signal erratic. Cognitive pattern, illogical. Ryder pulled himself to a seated position. You mean, you can't figure me out? Silence. Then, strangely, clarify purpose, Bigfoot vlogger. Define. A dry laugh escaped him despite the fear. Are you serious? No response. I make videos. Trying to prove the existence of a cryptid, Sasquatch. Bigfoot. Giant hairy dude, walks like a linebacker. It's a myth. Well, was. Why seek? Primitive species avoids logic-based goals. Ryder looked up at it, trying to read anything in that blank, glowing face. Because. I needed to believe something strange could still exist, he said. Not controlled. Not labeled. Not ruined. The figure was still. Then it stepped aside. From the trees came the creature, taller, broader, slower. Covered in thick, dark fur, walking with a hunched yet deliberate gait. The Sasquatch. Its eyes glinted amber in the haze. It didn't growl, didn't flee. It stood behind the alien like a companion, or maybe a subject. Entity 447, Sasquatch, coexists outside primary observation zone, Unit 17 said. Non-hostile. Advanced emotional mimicry. Protective tendencies. Avoids human centers. Ryder whispered, You've been studying him longer than us. The alien inclined its head. Entity displays awareness of this unit. Cooperation noted. Relationship, anomalous. The Sasquatch knelt beside Ryder, gaze calm, almost expectant. Ryder didn't move. Something passed between them, recognition. No fear. No threat. Unit 17 moved closer again. Decision protocol active. Human intervention may compromise evaluation. Data extraction preferable. Subject Ryder Quinn, upload or erase. Ryder blinked. Upload what? Event footage. Biological evidence. Coordinates. Exposure leads to accelerated interference. He stared at the camera still hanging from his chest. Footage. The drone. Everything he'd filmed. They didn't want it leaked. And yet, they hadn't deleted it themselves. You're letting me choose. Correct. Choice reveals species priority, revelation or preservation. He hesitated. Exposing Bigfoot, proving aliens, uploading the most groundbreaking video in human history, it was everything he thought he wanted. But now, faced with the truth, it felt wrong. If the world saw this, it wouldn't seek to understand. It would dissect, hunt, destroy. Slowly, Ryder removed the drone's memory card. He held it up, then snapped it in half. Unit 17 stood still, then blinked once. Noted. The Sasquatch huffed, a low, satisfied sound. Then, for the first time, Unit 17 spoke with a tone that almost resembled curiosity. Emotion contradicts logic. Yet, influences outcome. Ryder stood. Welcome to Earth. Ryder stood beneath a rotting cedar, watching the blue fog recede. His hands still trembled from what he'd done. Snapping the drone's memory card was like tearing away a piece of himself. But the forest felt different now. Quieter. Watching. Unit 17 hadn't left. It stood perfectly still, a sentinel in obsidian, flanked by the Sasquatch. No one spoke. Even the birds remained silent. The alien finally broke the silence. Subject's action diverges from expected protocol. Voluntary data suppression is statistically rare among sentients. Ryder slid his broken card into his coat pocket. Maybe your stats need updating. Perhaps. A pause. Purpose unclear. Denial of truth conflicts with known behavioral incentives, fame, influence, personal advancement. Ryder kicked at a fallen pine cone. Not everything is about clicks. Unit 17 turned slightly. Preservation over validation. Self-sacrifice in favor of indigenous concealment. Hypothesis, emotional alignment with non-human entity. Ryder narrowed his eyes. You mean empathy? The Sasquatch stepped forward, sniffed the air, then looked west. Its muscles twitched, not in fear, but readiness. Ryder followed its gaze. Beyond the trees, a low hum rumbled. Unit 17 responded before Ryder could ask. Approaching terrestrial surveillance units. Armed. Estimated arrival in 5.3 minutes. Ryder's stomach dropped. Government? Affirmative. Thermal spike detected last night. Extraction team inbound. Objective, capture. Ryder's mind raced. You led them here? Negative. Human technology lacks sufficient range. However, energy spike from this unit's event was traceable by satellite. Of course. The pulse. The light. He should have realized. He turned to Unit 17. Can you stop them? Engagement protocol prohibited. This unit observes. It does not interfere. Ryder pointed to the Sasquatch. You're letting them take him? You studied him for years. He's part of this place. The creature beside him gave a low grunt, defiance, not fear. Its eyes met Ryder's, then turned toward the treeline. The sound of rotors grew louder. Unit 17 flickered once, briefly glitching. The glow along its limbs stuttered. This unit's parameters are conflicted. That was new. For the first time, it seemed uncertain. Ryder stepped closer. Then update your damn parameters. Help him. Silence. Then, alternative, offer human subject evacuation. You may exit planet under biopreservation clause. Archive your consciousness. Species sample collected. Preservation ensured. Ryder flinched. You want to take me? Affirmative. You demonstrate adaptive empathy. Rare trait. Potential value in preserving unique cognitive pattern. He laughed, dry, disbelieving. You want to turn me into a damn exhibit. No harm. No dissection. Data imprint. Memory continuity maintained. Final choice, stay in face capture, or ascend. He looked at the Sasquatch again. The creature had knelt beside a moss-covered stone, tapping it with one long finger. 3 deep gouges were scratched into its surface, ages old. Not random. Not natural. They've been marking this land longer than we've walked upright, Ryder whispered. A flash of memory struck him, his childhood home bulldozed for a strip mall, trees leveled for subdivisions. Everything beautiful reduced to maps and profit margins. Bigfoot wasn't the anomaly. We were. He turned back to Unit 17. I'm not leaving. If you're watching what happens here, you need to see it through. Acknowledged. Another flicker. Then something unexpected, Unit 17 stepped between Ryder and the direction of the incoming helicopters. It raised a device, small, silver, like a flattened ring. A dome of shimmering distortion spread outward, encasing the clearing. Signal scramble initiated. Delay of acquisition, 2 minutes maximum. Ryder blinked. That's interference. I thought you couldn't interfere. This unit observes. This is observation of resistance. Behind them, the Sasquatch moved. Quick and deliberate, it opened a hollow under a tree and removed something wrapped in bark. A bundle. Bones, maybe. No, metal. Primitive carvings marked the surface. A gift. The creature pressed it into Ryder's hands. Unit 17 spoke again. Entity 447 requests concealment of origin material. Seeks trust. Ryder nodded. He doesn't want proof out there. I get it. The alien turned. Final task, choose your legacy. Ryder powered on his camera. A fresh memory card waited inside. He faced the lens. This is Ryder Quinn. If you're seeing this, I failed to keep a secret. What I saw out here, it's real. But maybe that's not what matters most. He looked off-screen to where the Sasquatch stood, half-shadowed beneath the branches. Sometimes truth isn't about exposing things. Sometimes it's about protecting them. We're not the center of this world. We just act like it. He clicked off the camera, slid the card from the slot, and buried it deep beneath a pile of wet leaves. The dome shimmered, flickered, then vanished. The humming of rotor blades pierced the silence. Black vehicles burst through the trees. Men in gray suits and tactical gear spread across the clearing. They raised rifles, swept with infrared. But there was nothing. Just Ryder, standing alone in a circle of burnt earth, surrounded by wind and silence. One agent approached. Reports said there was a crash. Multiple thermal anomalies. Where is everyone? Ryder smiled. Missed them. The agent squinted. You alone out here? Always have been, Ryder replied. They searched. They questioned. They packed their gear and left frustrated. Ryder stayed long after the engines faded. He didn't dig up the memory card. He didn't look for Unit 17. He just sat, listening to the trees. 3 months later. A single video appeared on Ryder's abandoned channel. It wasn't posted from his account. The IP traced to no known location. It opened with static, then a single still frame. The Sasquatch. Clear, steady, real. And behind him, barely visible, 2 glowing blue eyes in the trees. Below it, 1 line of text. Some things aren't meant to be found. But they will remember who tried to protect them. The rain returned in waves, soft at first, then cold and relentless, soaking through Ryder's jacket as he hiked deeper into the wilderness. A week had passed since the government sweep. They didn't find the Sasquatch. They didn't detect Unit 17. And they never circled back. But Ryder knew they weren't gone. He had moved camp 3 times, further and further from any trail, choosing silence over signal. His satellite phone was powered down. The camera was buried. What remained was instinct and isolation, something he now understood in a way he hadn't before. The creatures of the forest weren't hiding from fear. They were hiding from noise. From people like him. He paused beneath a thick cedar, let the drops hammer his hood. His reflection stared back at him from a shallow puddle, beard longer, eyes sunken, calmer somehow. He no longer felt like the man who once shouted into a lens, begging the world to believe in monsters. Something cracked behind him, deliberate. He turned slowly. Not Unit 17. Not the Sasquatch. A man. Tall, middle-aged, dressed in muted greens and browns. Not military, but not casual. He stood with hands visible, palms out. You're Quinn, the man said quietly. Ryder didn't speak. We've been looking for you. Still nothing. The man sighed. We're not here to arrest you. You haven't uploaded anything. But you saw it. We know you did. Ryder stepped back once. I'm not confirming anything. You don't have to. The man knelt and retrieved something from his coat, a laminated photo. Ryder didn't look at first, but the man held it steady. I think this is yours. The photo was blurry, water-damaged. But it was unmistakably the clearing. Burned edges. distortion lines. The afterglow of energy, faint but visible. You pulled this from my drone? The man nodded. Recovered it 3 miles from here. Found traces of shielding. Electromagnetic barrier. That's not human tech. Ryder met his gaze. Then maybe stop chasing it like you can control it. The man didn't react. He tucked the photo back into his coat. You didn't try to go viral. You didn't run your mouth. That makes you rare. Ryder scoffed. That makes me responsible. A moment passed. The forest exhaled around them. Then the man said something unexpected. We want to offer you a job. Ryder laughed once, sharply. You want me to help you hunt them? No, the man replied. We want you to help us understand why you didn't. Ryder paused. That answer stung in its honesty. You want to know why I stayed quiet? The man nodded. Most people would have sold it. You erased it. Why? Ryder looked away. They don't belong to us, he said. Not the creature. Not the scout. Not even the truth. Some things exist for their own sake. If we drag them into our world, we'll only break them. He stepped forward, lowering his voice. I think the alien was studying us to see if we deserve to survive. Not because of our tech or our science, but because of how we treat what we don't understand. The man listened, saying nothing. Ryder continued. And the moment I destroyed that footage, it helped me disappear. Not physically. Philosophically. It let me become uninteresting. I think that's how you stay safe in this world now, by not needing to be seen. The man adjusted his coat. You're saying it judged us? No, Ryder said. It watched. Judgment isn't always spoken. Sometimes, the decision is made in silence. The man considered that. Then what now? Ryder shrugged. You'll keep watching. They'll keep hiding. And maybe, if you're lucky, they'll let you stay in the dark a little longer. He turned, leaving the man behind in the dripping stillness. That night, Ryder found the old hollow where he'd first spoken to Unit 17. The ground had healed, but the moss still bore a faint impression, barely a depression now, but it pulsed in memory. He sat and pulled out a small, jagged object from his coat, the gift the Sasquatch had given him. It looked like metal, but felt like bone. Ancient symbols lined its edges, unreadable, but oddly familiar in rhythm. He turned it slowly in his hands. Still here, he whispered. Behind him, a soft shimmer. Unit 17 emerged from the trees, not glowing, not floating. Just present. As if it had always been. Subject's pattern remains consistent. Minimal exposure. Sustained detachment from media systems. Ryder smiled faintly. I thought you left. Negative. Observation incomplete. Secondary evaluation ongoing. Ryder looked up. So this isn't over. Existence rarely concludes. It simply reframes. The alien paused. Your restraint was unexpected. A behavior worth archiving. Ryder stood. What happens next? Unit 17 tilted its head. Earth remains in tentative status. You are not safe. But you are seen. Then, for the first time, the blue glow dimmed, not from malfunction, but from choice. The creature stepped back into the fog, its form blurring, becoming forest, becoming shadow. Gone. Back at camp, Ryder sat by a crackling fire, staring into its glow. The broken camera lay beside him, untouched. The last footage still buried under pine and thyme. He picked up a blank notebook, flipped to the first page, and wrote. I found something I'll never show you. And it changed everything.